What's going on, guys? Tony Maritato here. So I thought it'd be interesting for us to take a look at a slide in one of my presentations, talking about what I consider some of the most common myths and misconceptions about being a physical therapist going into private practice. So the biggest concern, this is Medicare specific. This is from my Medicare billing course. My biggest concern for anybody, I'm the first one to admit, I think Medicare is the easiest payer to work with, but nobody's looking at your claims. And I think that's hard to conceptualize for somebody who hasn't worked with Medicare, has not been a contracted provider. You think, oh, well, if I do something wrong, somebody's going to see it and they're going to warn me and tell me about it. But they're not. As long as I'm submitting claims to Medicare and the claim is technically accurate, meaning my CPT code makes sense, my modifiers make sense, everything makes sense, I'm going to get paid. Nobody from Medicare is looking at my chart, looking at my documentation, making sure I have my plan of care signed and certified, making sure that I meet all the compliance standards that are outlined in CMS Chapter 15. And nobody's looking at it until there's a problem. And once there's a problem, all of a sudden they go back and start looking. And now I realize, the deficiencies that are happening. And it's probably less of an issue for an individual private practice owner who understands and has read the guidelines compared to the practice owner that has multiple staff and multiple locations, and they just don't have the adequate training in place to get their clinical staff up to speed. So my biggest concern is that you don't know you're making a mistake until it's too late. That's the biggest thing. Misconception number 2, we still are in the mindset that everything has to be medically necessary, everything has to be a covered service or we can't provide it. Well, that's just blatantly wrong. There's lots of things, lots of services, lots of knowledge within our skill set that we have to offer the individual client that doesn't have to be medically necessary, doesn't have to be covered by Medicare, and is open to self-pay options. So just keep that in mind. A good therapist generally does not make a good business owner. There are very different skill sets we need between being a clinician and being a business owner. They're not opposing skill sets. I treat my business like I treat a patient. I do an evaluation on my business consistently. I develop a plan of care. I have goals. I figure out a strategy to get my business from where it is right now to where I want it to be. There's setbacks, there's plateaus, there's improvement. But I can tell you that over the big number, really, really good therapists are so focused on the patient and what the patient needs and certain things, they kind of lose sight of being a good business owner. As a good business owner, my priority is my staff, clinical staff, admin staff. They are my customers. As a good therapist, the patient is my customer. And it's just a different skill set. So I just want you to be aware. If you haven't read the book E-Myth by Michael Gerber, it's a great book. It's 200 and something pages. It's an easy read. And he talks about this, like amazing bakers don't make amazing bakery shop owners. Amazing barbers don't make amazing barber shop owners, right? So just think about that. Understand that it's a completely different world when you move into business ownership as opposed to being the technician, the clinician, the person delivering the service. Medicare and other insurance companies are absolutely not the enemy. They're just a financial institution. It's a financial tool, an asset or liability. There's no emotion, there's no feeling. You enter as the beneficiary into an agreement with the payer to say, I'm going to pay you this much every month in a monthly premium in exchange for this level of coverage, should I meet the criteria to qualify for that coverage. You have to understand insurance is an asset that essentially the majority of people have to lose money, so the minority of people can receive just huge value in the form of healthcare services. So the insurance company doesn't care. There is no emotion. They're not trying to cheat you or cheat the beneficiary or do anything. It's a business, it's an organization, it's a financial asset. I'm fond of saying, to say I have bad insurance is like saying I have a bad bank account because my bank account only has $15 in it. No, I don't have money in my bank account. You didn't buy a good policy because you wanted to save money on your monthly premium. It's basically the same thing. And then finally, myth number 5. Stop selling physical therapy or occupational therapy or speech language services. When you think of the bell curve and you think of the center, right, the largest population, if they're buying physical therapy, they're expecting it to be covered by insurance. They're not buying anything special. They're buying the commodity. It's like me getting water from my tap. That the bulk of the water we use at our house comes out of the tap. That's the water we use for washing dishes. That's the water we use for taking showers, for whatever we're doing, boiling eggs, comes out of the tap. Now, the ends, the extremes, that's the bottled water, right? Not saying good or bad, but I'm just saying understand that you don't want to live as a small practice owner in the middle of that bell curve. That's for the large corporates. That's for the people that have the companies that have the resources and the assets and funding from outside investors. That's not what we do. We don't provide that. So yes, I am a physical therapist. Yes, in my practice, some of my services are covered by insurance because it's medically necessary and I'm a physical therapist delivering the service. But by no means, when you come into this clinic, are you receiving physical therapy. You're receiving a solution to your post-surgical knee pain after a knee replacement, right? You're receiving a solution to, I've got shoulder pain and I want to get back to playing golf before the season ends. Like, I'm crafting that package, that solution that includes lifestyle management, it includes nutrition, it includes education on anatomy and physiology and all the other stuff. And yes, it includes covered services, which is awesome because it's a bonus that you get insurance to pay for some of the experience you get with me. But it also includes stuff that the insurance doesn't pay for. So if you're going to say, I sell physical therapy, well, so does the hospital and so do 20 other providers in the area. What's the differentiating factor? That's what we want to kind of capitalize. That's the asset you have. And I promise you, I've seen the experiences that you guys are delivering as owner-operators, as small niche practices. It is nothing like what you're going to receive at a larger corporate clinic, right? And I tell my patients all the time, like, look, come to me for the specialty stuff. If you want to lay on a plinth and you want to do 10 straight leg raises and 10 side leg raises and 10 hip extension, go do it free with an insurance covered plan at the hospital. Don't come to me for that. Come to me for the stuff that needs my expertise, my added knowledge, my added skill, right? And I'm going to label it for what it is. I'm not going to label it as physical therapy. All right, guys. Those are my 5 most common myths and misconceptions. I'd love to hear from you. What are you guys seeing out there? What are the misconceptions that therapists, I know there's plenty that patients have, what are the misconceptions that therapists have that really are holding us back? What's slowing us down from growing as a profession? Guys, as always, I appreciate your support. I appreciate your time. Take a minute, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and if you get a chance, share it with somebody who you think could benefit. I'll see you on the next video.